Hey, welcome to episode 15 of The Hills Have Nerds, the only podcast in the digital space that has a tendency to get a little physical.
Physical.
I mean, anyone out there remember sorting through cartridges and cases to figure out what game you were going to dive into that night? Or flipping through a hefty rule book to try to pinpoint a specific phrase to put an end to a heated argument over semantics? If you answered yes to either of those questions, we wish you the best of luck in your campaign against the ravages of time and age. Now, everything's on that damn internet. Everything's in the cloud. You don't have to dig for it. You control F for it. Nerds, let's get nostalgic. Let's get crotchety. Let's show our age. Let's talk about the disappearance of physical media.
I think you described me. Nostalgic and crotchy.
Hey, so welcome to another episode of The Hills Have Nerds. Today we're talking about digital versus physical media, the disappearance or the less prevalent appearance of physical media, and then the proliferation of digital downloads, digital gaming, of not having a physical disc or box or card in your hand. And you may see us. We're here. We are at the Guardtower West in Columbus, Ohio. They were kind enough to invite us down. We've spent the day here in the company of James and Lynn and Bob Bartels, who the owners here, and James is the production manager.
I'm the producer.
Yeah. The producer for the Guardtower Studios, and he's in studio with us, but he's kind of off screen right now. So if you hear another fifth fella talking, that's little James over there. And they were kind of...
So might as well. I was going to say, or it's just the voice in your head, and you might be going a little bit crazy.
So we might as well give him a badge of the Hills Have Nerds.
Oh, yeah, he's an honorary
official member now.
Well, yeah.
No. They were nice enough to...
We don't need that.
They were kind enough to invite us down here and let us use this absolutely phenomenal studio that they have. And we put out a few episodes down here. We took advantage of that. And so hopefully you're either watching this on YouTube or you're listening to the audio on Spotify. And if you are listening to it on Spotify, just know there's a visual component on the YouTube. If you go over and check that out, just search The Hills Have Nerds on YouTube. Or you can search up the Guardtower West or the Guard Tower and see all the awesome stuff they have on their YouTube.
You can see our faces and gain more nightmares.
I was going to say you're missing out, but I don't know.
I'm one of your hosts, Josh, and joining me as always is Lee.
Hello.
Cody.
Hello.
And Aaron. Why you gotta do weird?
Yeah.
Everybody else just said hello.
We could have done the whole, Golden Girls thing again.
We did.
Golden Girl.
That was amazing. That was so good.
Highlight of our trip.
Yeah. So this episode should be coming out right now. It is June 29th. This episode should be coming out at the end of July. So it should be July 28th. Or sometime after that when you're listening to this. In the future coming out, we have a sit down with Lynn and Bob from the Guardtower, the two owners here at the Guard Tower in Columbus, to talk about their history with friendly local game stores and just their history in gaming and going to conventions and starting things up. And it was an awesome sit down. I'm really excited for you guys to get to listen to it. And then we did our what are we playing, what are we watching, what are we reading kind of media catch-up episode, and that should be coming out. And we talk about some awesome things. Talk about the a movie I watched called Late Night with the Devil. Lee, you talked about Boys Season 4, and Aaron talks about Deep Rock Galactic and Inside Out 2. And
Talk about Final Fantasy 10.
Go, you got to talk about Fantasy 10.
Fantasy.
Yeah, that's right. Final Fantasy. There's a lot happening in the Final Fantasy world. They're not really put the final one out yet.
For being called Final Fantasy, they're on 16. 16 final.
You know the story behind that one?
Yeah, actually, I do. We covered it in
yeah.
our third episode. It's
JRPGs. Yep. If you want to know the history behind the name Final Fantasy, go check out episode 3, JRPGs. He'll have nerds. But okay, so let's get into our topic. So our main topic here today is physical versus digital media. Which one's more prevalent? Is digital media kind of taking the place of physical media? And what we mean by that is, take a look at the prevalence of digital downloads, things like that. Where are we playing more things in subscription services? Are we taking more time to play games, more of our gaming time being spent in a digital space? Games like Hearthstone, Tabletop Simulator, stuff like that are taking what were normally a physical activity, or when I say physical, I just mean an in-person activity, and turning it into something you can do, miles away from each other across the internet.
So something I think we could start with is, in your experience, what is like the first physical media you ever had experience with that you can remember? Do you want me to do mine first, and then I'll get you to think about that? My parents are a bit older than other people's parents. Like I think I was born to my parents when they were 36 and 39, respectively. I think from mother and father. But I remember specifically, I've 8 tracks were not prominent when I was young, but my parents had 8 tracks.
Yeah.
So that was like the oldest physical media I remember messing with. But they had vinyl records and 8-track tapes, cassette tapes, little cassette tapes or whatever, were very prominent in our household, even at the time. But I've always had like a connection to physical media in particular because I liked looking at stuff that was even outside of my time, before my time, so I thought it was interesting. So I guess it even works with Atari too. Like the Nintendo was out when I was...
ColecoVision.
Yeah, but actually we didn't have a ColecoVision. But we did have an Atari, but I was born after Nintendo, then the NES came out.
You're poor enough for ColecoVision.
Right. Yeah. I had Nintendo, but I remember I guess the first thing it was probably a VCR. Like a VCR tape was probably my first real experience with a physical media, and then I started learning that other media was recorded on other things, and it got me interested in looking back to be like, okay, well, if this is what a Nintendo game is like, what came before this? It's like, oh, Atari. It's like, okay, well, we do cassette tapes nowadays. What was it before this? Even as a child, I was kind of having those thoughts. So again, VCR for me. What about you guys?
I don't know if I remember the first physical media. I do remember on the same boat. My parents had vinyl records and 8-tracks, and we watched VCR tapes, VHS tapes, and like stuff like that. But I don't know if I remember. I played a lot of Atari, played Nintendo. I remember my old NES. So I don't know what the first one is, but I do remember, messing around with all that stuff. Like even before I knew what a vinyl record was, I knew you put it in there and you put the little needle on it and it played music. And I was like, yeah.
Were you as amazed by that?
Oh, yeah. It was always like, how's it do it? How's it work?
Give me the sound.
I'm still pretty certain it's black magic.
That's why they're black, man. So the records were black because it's actually black magic. And then I
thought you were going somewhere else with that. And I was like, Lee. We just talked about bad marketing campaigns.
As my first one, as far as remembering, I would say it's probably a VHS tape or actually a vinyl record because my grandmother kept those a lot. But I'm gonna say the first one I actually interacted with was Sega Genesis because Mom has a video of me when I was 2 playing Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis, and awesome. I mean, as far as a 2-year-old goes, it's playing. I basically had the controller sitting down, just like, but, yeah. But I mean, that's probably the first one that I actually interacted with. I mean, we don't have that video anymore, but I was there.
For me, it was probably the regular Nintendo. If I'm just thinking of what I probably dealt with the first. What I remember and probably my earliest memory of was this small, it was one of the like beginning computers, man. Like it was just a monitor with a little keyboard attached, and I'd play Junior Jeopardy on it. And I had to run a slash command to get it to light up. So, yeah, I think it was. And I had to, input. You had to go into like MS-DOS or whatever it was, and put in the actual type in the command line to get the thing to run. You can just double click. Desktops weren't a thing at that time, right? Showing my age a little bit. Remember that, and then cassette tapes. I mean, we were so into music. We had so many tapes. Weird Al Yankovic tapes. I had Billy Ray Cyrus tapes and all that. Who's the guy that did? Oh crap! The song "Indian Outlaw."
Oh, I can't remember.
That horrible piece of cultural appropriation. It was catchy as hell, though.
I do remember, like remember recording the radio to make mixtapes, things like that.
Oh, wow,
yeah, for a cassette tape.
You would record the radio. I don't think I ever did that, but I know people.
Oh, I did it.
It was kind of like whenever people done the ringtones, and I was like, all right, wait, this song's coming up. I gotta first record it on my phone.
That's getting a little bit further, so we're getting into cell phone territory. But yeah, I mean, same deal. So, hold on, recording the radio. Would you just like sit and listen and be like, oh, there it is? Kind of like the song that you want to listen to.
100%.
Well, that was they'd be like, up next we have this song by blah blah blah, and he'd be like, "You're ready? You're ready? It's time."
I mean, you didn't know what was coming up next. Sometimes you just listen to the radio and you'd be like, you're ready for it.
I wonder how these microphones do with us smacking the hell out of the table like we do normally.
Oh, wonderful!
That's unlike ours.
Ours picks up all the shock.
We have an episode that Lee, molested a slushy during, and
it sounds like a clown dying in the background. It's like
when I was 7, I pulled apart my tape recorder, and I pulled apart my radio, and I spliced the output from my radio to. Like I cut off the microphone.
You want to come up here and sit? Come up here and sit, man. Get in on this. Bring James in here. Huh?
This one.
There you go. Let's see you. Introduce yourself.
I am James. I am the producer at Guardtower Studios.
There you go.
I cut my radio apart and I cut my cassette player apart and I took the wiring from the inputs of the microphone on the cassette recorder and I attached the wires from the radio and it worked. And I turned on my radio and I just hit record.
Nice.
Oh, it's
I
awesome.
remember later you had the ones with the 2 decks.
Yeah.
That deck A and D, but you could record what was going on.
I got my butt whooped for pulling apart the cassette player.
Well, that happens.
Yeah.
I can dip back out if you guys.
No, you're welcome. You're in it. If you're cool with being in it, we'd love to have you.
No, I don't mind.
You're one of us now,
Welcome.
if you like it or
Hold on a
not.
second.
Mic and camera done?
Just get a little bit of camera there.
Cool.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
So I was going to mention this. You're talking about mentioning recording the radio stuff.
Yeah.
When I was little, I would actually record video games. Like I would play Mortal Kombat and record fatalities and be like, yes, blood, and then I would actually kind of
Murder, it's what children love.
I was recording commentary. My dad had this like huge old camera, and I was recording commentary about video games even when I was little. I would love to find that stuff now. I would play video games and like talk about it into a camera.
Lee's first Twitch.
Yeah, 38 years later, here I am. I'm still doing it. So.
Yeah, I was poor. Everybody else had a Nintendo, and I had an Atari 7800.
That's
For
expensive.
a long time. That's what
I
played
was
Atari.
master of Galaga.
Oh, nice.
You know what happens when you beat level 99?
Nothing.
You go back to 1.
It's an insult.
It's even worse than nothing. Yeah, we played a lot of, what was it, the Cops and Robbers and Combat. Was like some of my favorites. We also had Haunted House, and I never figured out how to play that game.
Dungeon was the one that we got my son Atari.
Like Adventure.
Dungeon and Combat. And Adventure may be in the one. The dragon would pick up the key, or the bat would pick up the dragon.
Yeah, we've talked about this when it's Adventure. There's one we're talking about.
Yeah, the bat would just fly by. Now, me, it could pick up the dragon. And then you see a bat flying by with a dragon. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah, that's the one that did, the bat can actually soft lock the game.
Yeah, it can pick up a key to the Black Castle and put it in the Black Castle, and then you can't go in because it'll just drop it in the castle, and now you can't beat the game because the key for that castle is in it.
I was one of those poor unfortunate souls to own a copy of E.T.
Oh, no.
How many times I fell in a pit
A lot.
for no reason. I'm walking along, boom. What?
My biggest problem with that game is why do you lose points for moving? Like,
Right.
really?
How much did you see E.T. move in the movie? That's why.
All right, so let's pull this back in before we get.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the physical media that we grew up with.
I mean, I would argue to the point that we had an experience with probably the most physical media at the time. I mean, can you think of another time where there has been more available?
I think in our
Cassette tapes, vinyl records, 8 tracks, Nintendo, all these different cartridge-based video games,
DVD,
Laserdisc.
And if you're going online, there's still comics and books and cards.
Yeah.
Blu-rays.
Yeah.
We had the invention of Magic the Gathering and the trading card game and the nerd sphere and that kind of explosion of the TCG.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like physical media life.
Dungeons and Dragons coming out like that early 80s, late 70s, early 80s thing right through where we're going.
I'm afraid most of this episode is going to be me crotchety being like, digital media.
I mean, now you just, you want to
Yells
book.
like clouds.
You don't come down to a guard tower to buy a book. You go online to Wizards of the Coast and buy a PDF and do that. If you're a terrible person, you come to the guard tower to buy a book.
Before I was even working for them, I had every 5th edition book released.
Yeah.
That's
We never illegally download things here on the Hills Half. We always purchase our items.
I think it's getting. I think you see, like, when people are first delving into, just to talk about tabletop RPGs, the most common thing is to buy a book. They'll see a book at a game store, something, they'll buy that book. But what I've seen elsewhere is that it's cheaper for them to pick up like a PDF. But if they're first getting into it, their first your first taste, they tend to buy a physical book. And then after they get used to it and around it, they'll buy a PDF. But
I steal all my characters. I go to the wiki pages and highlight, go into Word, paste it over. I set it up how I want with each pages, and I print it out, and I put it in a binder.
it's still physical, though.
It's still
right?
physical.
So that's kind of this bridge, this bridge between the two.
I mean,
There where you can print a PDF out.
there's something to be said for the ease of use of a PDF. Because I mean, like, talking about looking for the rules, Control F, I can go exactly where I want.
Yeah.
But I would much rather have the book in my hand and actually flip through and be able to read it that way.
It just gives so much more like weight and heft to what you're doing. I feel like holding that book, looking through it, seeing all the amazing art that has been gone through. And you're really like, there's something visceral and real about turning the page. Man.
I mean, if you just need it fast, Control F, sure. But
I mean, honest truth, like show notes. When you send us the show notes, usually for a podcast here, it's
You don't look at it until I hand them to you.
well. I mean, it's easier for me
Yes,
to read
They're
physical.
this friggin' long, and you don't look at them until I hand them to you.
Yeah,
you can't read.
So go
I
ahead.
still don't look at them when you hand them to me.
You can't read. It's the whole thing.
So you got to have them in pictographs.
I really need to do like an image brochure, like an image booklet for these guys.
So I think it's for a game we played, James's game earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome, great game.
Speaking of things, sitting
Like-
out right here.
Sitting and playing with physical cards is just, I mean, it's euphoric compared to like swiping on a phone or something. So I would much rather play anything like this in a physical game, hold cards in my hand. I'm the same way with reading a book.
That's
Real quick on this, let's talk about. We just mentioned James's game. We'll go ahead and get this out because again, we are not being sponsored. James has not given us any kind of money or anything to promote his game. I want to tell people about it because we played it and it was cool.
It's great.
James, do you mind to talk about your game for just a couple minutes?
You want to switch seats real quick and you can.
I mean, they can hear me, I'm sure. Ashley, can you hear me? Yeah, they can hear me.
We got the clear.
So I, 'cause I, 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 I didn't actually get to meet my father until I was an adult. My father's Cherokee. And that whole side of that culture was stolen from me. And in reconnecting with my tribe and learning that our language is endangered, I started diving into it, learning it. And there's 86 symbols in the syllabary, and so it's kind of hard. And it's a class 4 language to English speakers, kind of like speaking Mandarin's a class 4 language. And I was like, how can I make this easier for myself and to teach my kids? And I was like, I'm good at making games. I'll make a game out of it. And I sat down and I kind of looked at the math of the game, or of like what I could make. And there's a really, there's a character in syllabary that's not used very often. In a lot of the newer manuscripts, it's not even there. It's the sound M. And I added it back in, and suddenly it just all made sense. I had 6 suits of 13 if I removed the aspirants from the syllabary, and I was like, and it just like hit me like I can make games out of this. And so started as flashcards, and it grew from there. I was just racking my brain about like, well, what can I do to make a game? At first, it was I made one called Adana Lodi, which means a system of arranging things. And I based it off of Rummy, but I took it up a notch because instead of 4 suits, you have 6. And in this game, anytime a card is played, it's dead. You can't build off of it at all anywhere. So it forces you to use the discard pile as an extension of your own hand, which is something that I hadn't really encountered before. Like I'd used it as an extension of my hand, but I was never forced to. And that's where it started. And then I asked my kids what kind of game I should make. And my daughter, Jenny, was like, you should make a cartwheel. And I was like, I'm going to make a game based on cartwheels. And that's what you guys played, Ganes Guaduga. And then there's another game that I made in it called Galgogi Yanachila, which is 7 fires. It's a solitaire game. And then you can also use it as standard playing cards. But the intention behind it was to save our language.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So trying to make it fun, man.
Oh, we had a blast playing them.
Yeah, it was great.
Fantastic though. I enjoyed it, even if I don't know my colors.
We even made it so that colorblind people can see the cards better.
Will make me look even worse.
The game system itself is called Bisuyeda. So if you're looking for it online.
Cool. And this says, this can double as teaching the Cherokee language.
Yeah, you can actually learn the characters from the syllabary in Chalaki, all 86 of them. And included in with the deck is a copy of the syllabary, and it's color-coded and numerically coded to make it easier to memorize.
You don't have this out like for sale anywhere currently right now?
I've been selling it when I go to conventions. We donated the bulk of what I bought for Cherokee education and to giving it to people promotional. We do sell it. There's a couple of stores that carry it, and I'm planning to put it on the website for sale, but I don't have a ton of it to sell. I'd have to do another run.
Yeah.
Trying to find an American manufacturer that can make it for a reasonable cost is pretty hard.
Getting cards pretty expensive.
Yeah. Actually, I looked at one point, it's physical media, right? I looked at one point at having a card game made for myself. It was like $19 a deck was the cost. And I was like, my goodness, $19 for a deck of cards. And that was years ago. This was prior to COVID, by the way. So I was like, my goodness. I mean, that was for a smaller run, but it's like, that's what I can afford.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Sure, they give you a little bit of success for more.
Kickstarter, and that's what I used. I took every penny from the Kickstarter to purchase 1,000 decks, and then to start building a digital version. It's not quite done just because we, hiccups, but it's a labor of love, man. Like you're saying, like physical versus digital. I want to provide digital for the people who want that.
Yeah.
But to me, when I play games, it's more of a social
Yes.
thing. I want to actually interact with people. I'm very extroverted, which is not the average gamer. But I want to be able to touch something. I want to be able to hand it to somebody. I want to share that experience. And though there is a bit of camaraderie you get from online games, it's just not the same as sitting down next to somebody.
Oh yeah. And you see like we do these video components for stuff, but there's something to be said about being in the room, being present in the moment, right, and sharing that moment at a manageable distance.
We've talked about them before because we've done a few Discord episodes, and they do fine. And we get why we do them because not everybody can come to the location where we record, but it's just not the same as when we're all sitting around. Yeah, and it's definitely not the same energy.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing games on Tabletop Simulator. We all play on there occasionally. I mean, we all get in Discord so we can actually chat and talk to each other while we play, and I mean that helps a little bit. But honestly, we use Discord more as a tabletop more as I can go out and I can find this game on there and I can test it and see if I like it. And if I like it, I'm going to go out and buy a copy so we can play it in person. I mean, that's...
Yeah, we use it more of a demo.
Yeah, it's more of a demo to make sure we like a game.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy transition into the importance of physical media. I think it does a lot of stuff for us. Like, there's a lot of reasons for digital, obviously. Like you can reach people with the digital game or digital content much faster than you can with physical content.
And people that you just can't reach with this physical content.
Yeah. And it makes it more accessible. Like I imagine, for example, your game is not going to cost as much to buy digitally as it would physically.
It's like a couple bucks.
Right.
Digitally.
So it's
charging double for it.
It's accessibility for a lot of people. However, there's a lot to be said for physical. One of the points I wanted to make about physical in particular, and I hope I'm not off the beaten path yet, but with video games, I think about this. I have access to thousands and thousands and thousands of digital games at any moment, any given moment. I mean, probably, honestly, 15,000 games. Mm-hmm. When I have that much access, I go, what do I play? Yeah. That's the overwhelming for me. Yeah. Whereas when I was younger, growing up, and it's still up to this to some extent, when I was younger, it was like, okay, I have 5 games. So which of these 5 will I play? That's a much easier decision. I guess the same thing with board games. Like you can go online, you can play whatever. You can go, play a game on Tabletop Simulator, or you can look at your game shelf and go, here's what I have. What are we playing?
Yeah.
That's always the struggle in our game group. It's always like, hey, what do you guys want to play?
Well, it's also, when you look at physical versus digital for board games, especially, like setup and breakdown, man.
Yeah.
If we're going to play a digital tabletop or the tabletop simulator version of Gloomhaven, setup for that is 10 minutes. Setup for Gloomhaven, the board game on the table, is maybe 45 minutes if we're good about it.
We had a group that actually played Gloomhaven, and we had to show up early to set it up so that we could.
Now, that being said, to me personally, the digital experience for a game like that is meant to be played in a sprawling table with everybody around looking and going through. I feel like that is the intended experience of play, but that to me is why the prevalence of digital media has been rising at such a rate. It's just that accessibility. Yeah. It's just that ease of access.
I mean, we've chose to play games like for that reason. It's like we can play this, but it's going to take so long to put out.
It's like Gloomhaven again. We played it. We were playing it, and I think we started early 2019 and ran all the way up until COVID started. And it was like, well, man, we can't meet out and play anymore. But it's on tabletop, so we can continue to play that way.
Yeah.
And it was also like an hour and a half to make it fit back in the box. And on tabletop, we could just be like, all right, bye, guys, click.
Yeah. When we're done, we saved we saved the position that was at, and we were like, all right, see you next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a major inconvenience, again, for physical media, I guess I'm playing the devil's advocate right now because I'm a physical media sort of guy. I like this.
You're a video game collector.
I'm a video
Anybody that's watched your stream knows your entire room is just covered. And this dude's got a massive, massive video game collection, Jay. It's enormous.
I like video games.
Yeah.
But with that much too, it's like I want to play a game, but man, it's so much easier to just play this digitally rather than have to plug up the Super Nintendo or whatever else, or even to pull the game off the shelf. It's just a double click and I'm into it. So it's like there's a major inconvenience. Of course, there's the reward of sitting there holding the controller, feeling that nostalgia.
There's something cathartic about just pulling out the controller or the cartridge and just hearing the click.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Push it down in.
But then so many times I go, I could just click.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been some convenience.
Yeah.
You're still holding the controller.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, for video games and to me, to a lesser extent, literature, the way we interact with those in a physical or digital space is very similar, especially with video games. You're loading it up on a digital screen. You're playing it. It is a digital product. It's just your mode of deliverance is either it's installed on my computer. It is this intangible kind of vacuous bit of code that I double click on and go, or it is this cartridge I can stick in or this disc I can put in. I'm still interacting post-initializing it with it the exact same.
That's right.
So from a collector standpoint, I get the physical over digital.
I mean, that just translates over into ownership as well from whatever Ubisoft said. Remember that guy? But I can't remember his name, but it was like one of the runners for Ubisoft said that he's like, gamers should get comfortable not owning their games going forward.
See, that's part of people just trying to subvert first sale doctrine.
Felipe Tremblay, in January 2024, he's their director of subscription. He said gamers need to become comfortable with not owning their games before video game subscriptions can become popular. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So before video game subscriptions become popular, gamers are going to have to get comfortable with not owning their games.
So what was the term you used?
So they're trying to subvert the first sale doctrine. So the game company only gets money off of the first sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why you have resale shops able to take it and resell it. And so the delivery of the digital product, this actually like went to court and they're like, well, no, we still own the copyright to that game. And like, no, you own the game, but the medium on which it's being delivered, you printed that on that. So, you can't collect mechanical royalties twice. And so a lot of the game companies, they're like, well, fine, then we're just going to make it 100% digital.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't care so much if, the actual developers were getting paid. But this isn't the developers being paid. This is guys in suits at a board meeting, and they're making the lion's share of the money. When they're making 300 times what your entry-level devs are making, and they don't even know how to program anything. Like you set them down with Python, they're like, what's this? They don't even know what Boolean means, and they're just raking in the cash. And then they want us to pay for it. This microtransaction nonsense. Dude, if we're trying to raise money for charity, sure, man, I have no problem paying for every skin and gun there is. If you're actually giving the money to the guys that are sitting down and coding the game, I understand they don't get paid to maintain online servers like that. Like their job is done. Well, let's continue to give them some residual profits. But if I don't want to give money to some guy in a suit making 300 times what a dev's making. I just don't.
No. Oh, no. That's 100% what they want. And that's we talked to Nathan when we worked at Page 3 because we sold video games there. We argued with a friend one time about this very subject. And he was like, I can't wait for things to go digital so I don't have to worry about it. It's like digital would be the first step into the death of that store because video games were a big selling.
It was the major selling point of that store.
And it's like, if we're thinking digital, we couldn't resell it. You can't resell that.
Yeah.
Well, then there's another problem too, is when people say the cloud, they don't realize that's just somebody else's computer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
wait, I mean, the cloud's not just
It's just floating around in the air.
cloud.
There was an incident on Warcraft years ago with a virus that wiped out everything. And it wouldn't take much to wipe out an entire server. It's not like this ephemeral thing. It's a physical location. It's on their computer instead of yours. And while cloud computing can be beneficial, it comes at a pretty high security risk. And you can literally just lose everything. If you can't have an archive copy of a game you've purchased, then what's the point?
Right.
But that's also like the crew, again, Ubisoft, who just recently pulled the license from every storefront that they had. And it was, if you had bought it, you also lost your license to be able to play the game. And there was no sort of refund or anything.
What game was that?
The crew.
The crew.
And it was just, it's ours now. It's gone from your library.
Yeah.
And to a point, because it was sold as a online game, but you could buy physical copies and everything as well. The problem everybody was having was just shut the servers down, because I mean they released the Crew 2 and a couple other things, and it's like, just shut the servers down and allow us to still have the game to create our own servers. We can still play.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. But they went back and retroactively took the game from people who bought it.
It's because they don't want you to play the Crew one anymore.
They want
They want you to move on.
Yeah, they want you to buy something else.
That's
I mean, you look at with Ark, man. Ark has continued to re-release and put new stuff out, and as long as what people do with their money is their business.
Yeah.
If something appeals to you and you want to buy it and you want to go out there and you want to support whatever you want to support, or if you want to buy every single copy of Skyrim, every single re-release of Skyrim that comes out, as long as they're beating that dead horse, it's going to spit out money.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do that, that is your money. That is your prerogative. Go for it. You work hard for your money. Spend it the way you want to spend it.
It's like we talked about, WoW and Final Fantasy 14. We've put a lot of money into that. There was nothing physical about that. But it was with the knowledge beforehand that if something happens and that game shuts down, we don't get anything back. But I mean, that was, upfront knowledge, and you agree to that when you play that game.
And I think that's the social contract of an MMO. If you're participating in that world, I know that my character's stored on a server, and if that server explodes or something happens to this game, I don't my character only exists within the confines of their, digital infrastructure. And if that goes out, this is gone. And that's, for me, on World of Warcraft, that's 20 years of play on EverQuest for, it's a lot, lot on there.
At least that was an upfront knowledge. Like, you knew that going in.
Well, that's an MMO. That's, like you said, that's an upfront knowledge. You know that's going to happen. But there was a case of Sony. They discontinued all of their, was it Discovery?
Yeah, Discovery shows.
Discovery shows on their system. So if you had bought any Discovery shows, it was gone. You couldn't access it anymore.
They lost their license with Discovery, and whenever they done that, they pulled that from people's libraries again, even if you had outright bought it and not just rented it.
That was a big deal. I remember somebody posted, it was a mom had bought a bunch of stuff for their kid because they liked the Discovery, all the animal shows and stuff like that. She had bought all these shows, and then all of a sudden she could no longer watch them.
And I think it was pretty early, not long after she bought them, they announced that they were doing that and then took it.
So.
And she didn't get anything back for it.
Yeah, there was just tough luck.
That's the danger of going digital, right?
Yeah.
So I have a danger for physical as well.
The physical danger, Lee.
I'm a physical danger. Yeah, I'm not. I'm really not. Despite how large I am.
You could probably hit it with a pillow and kill it.
That's when you gotta start being despite.
They call me Little John. But
no one caught you that.
No, they didn't.
I've been called that. No. But my first name's John, so my last name's Little. So and every time I went to school somewhere, it pops up Little John, and everybody's like, huh.
This feels like cheating.
So physical media also is subject to rot. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Disc rot and
GameCube specifically is suffering from disc rot right now, really bad.
Being chewed up by your dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Digital games can't be chewed up by my Shorpay.
They're chewed up by Ubisoft.
I had several SNES games got chewed up by a Sharpay when I was a kid.
And with that too, something that disturbed me thinking about this, I was like, well, that's an understandable thing. A physical thing can degrade, rot, whatever. Laserdiscs are bad for that as well. However, there are games for the Switch that are physical only. That boggles me to think about. It's like, why would you not make something digital in this day and age? I mean, both, if nothing else, obviously. Yeah. But it's usually everybody errs on the side of let's make it digital, and then we'll release some physical for people that want it. I can't remember the name of the game, unfortunately. I tried to look it up, couldn't find it. But there was a game that was made physical only for the Switch. I was like, that seems to be so limiting for that company. And it's like, if you're wanting to make some money, it seems like you would also make it digital. Yeah.
And we own about 80 Switch games, and only 4 or 5 of them we have physical cartridges.
Yeah. They're also, Switch is kind of a special instance, a special consideration because their freaking cartridges are so small, man. If I can get them digital, I get them digital just because if I lose it digitally, that means they took it down. I can't play it anyway. There's a chance I can completely lose it physically.
Well, they have that bitter coating, so nobody's going to eat them.
What? They have a bitter coating on them. They made
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You should try one. We'll get a video of Josh trying.
No, I didn't think they were bitter at all.
They've done it because they said it was they done where they were so small they didn't want babies to pick them up and choke on them, so they made them extremely bitter. So if they pick them up and put them in their mouth, they'll just spit them back out.
Not from experience, but they definitely are.
They're gross.
Well, the thing I like with Nintendo is you can have a family account.
Yes, Nintendo family account's good.
We got a big family. We got 5 Switches. Mm-hmm. And you can play any of our games on all of our Switches.
Yeah, that is really, really good. That's good guy Nintendo.
Yeah.
One of the few good
That's one of the positives for digital,
But then again, it's with the company. And Nintendo as a company is actually very family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Can you play them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we play Tears of the Kingdom on 3 different Switches.
Oh, wow.
Yep. As long as you're part of that family group. Riley wanted to play Legends Arceus. And so
it's just me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Family of one.
We got Elizabeth and Erica were playing Animal Crossing at the same time. So
that's cool. I didn't know if you were playing at the same time or not, but
it's good.
I'm playing Oregon Trail.
Now they have to be digital, right? Like they have to.
Yeah, you have to have the digital version.
Yeah, because we could do that with Legends Arceus, but Riley wanted to try out Sword, and we couldn't do it with Sword because I had a physical copy of Sword. Pokemon Sword.
Just give him the cartridge.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
you can't play together. Yeah, but if you just wanted to try it, here, play it.
Again, devil's advocate. Convenience of digital as well. It's like you're talking about my room full of games.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, all of that could fit on my fingernail on a chip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, I could save a lot of square footage.
Well, that means book.
Like on books. To everything.
I love reading comics when I get a chance. I'm not the most avid comic reader. Captain America is my favorite. I try to read what comes out of him. But I buy physical comics every now and then if it's a cap run I like, but I buy them for decoration. Mm-hmm. I don't buy them to pull out and read. If I'm going to read a comic, I go on Marvel Unlimited. That $10 subscription service to have a backlog of every single Marvel comic that's came out from 6 months ago till forever, and it's for $10 a month. I mean, you can't beat that. But that one does a big disservice to comic book stores.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I'm not buying physical comics from them in anywhere near the rate that I'm consuming them on Marvel Unlimited. Now, that being said, I probably wouldn't do it anyway. So I don't know if I'm their loss of income. But, some people are like that. They would buy comics over and over and over again. They got the subscription boxes at the stores.
There was
where they're filling up a ton.
That's what time we worked at Page 3. There was a few people that canceled subscriptions because they started doing Marvel Unlimited. Yeah.
Now,
they said it was actually cheaper because they were buying so many books in a month for them to just go back over and do that.
Now, the thing with Marvel Unlimited is there's a delay. So you're not reading it when it comes out. They don't put them up on there until 6 months. after release or something like that. So if you're wanting it then, you still want the physical, which I think.
This guy was subscribing to so many books that, I mean, it was taking him months to read them anyway.
That's something Wizards does well is the pre-releases. They hit the game stores before they go everywhere else.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
nice.
That's I want to say I said I was going to shake my fist at digital media the entire time, but I mean, digital media has a place, and I'm not saying that it should be gone. I'm scared of it being the only media.
The future scares me.
I don't think that we'll ever actually get to that.
I hope not, but I'm always afraid it's going to happen because it seems like they push more. Companies are pushing, wanting to push more to it.
But fundamentally, I mean, we're physical creatures, and I think what the direction it's going to move is there's going to be a hybridization of the physical and the digital. You're seeing that now even in Dungeons and Dragons. Plug in for a Kickstarter I backed, Master of Realms. They both have you can 3D print their models and build physical maps, or you can print out a map. And the ability to choose both is really, like, I think we're going to see more of that because
that's what I want. That's what I want. I want the option for either. I don't want you have to do this.
Yeah.
That's what I like physical media because, a digital game, like a board game, is never going to have that smell that you open up a fresh new board game. And I smell every game.
I smell formaldehyde.
Yeah. Every game and every liquid I don't know.
Cracking up TCG packs, new card smell.
Oh, dude, there's nothing like opening a booster pack. It's just not.
Literally, the first thing, board game. Josh has been with me. Video games and board games. First thing I do is,
it's such good. It's nostalgia.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons that I don't think that the analog world will ever go away because the strongest sense of memory is linked to smell.
Oh yeah,
and you're not going to get that from the digital world.
Oh no.
Right.
Nostalgia will keep it dry.
New books, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a new book, I go. Step in a bookstore.
I like holding it. I like seeing that physical art there and the texture, like that card game. You go, what's the card game?
Oh, Ken Fire Delve.
Ken Fire Delve. Dude, this game, now if we played it on Tabletop Simulator, I guarantee it'd be beautiful. Like the art is so good, but the cards have this kind of like foil layered texture to them, and they're reflective, and they are just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And there's just something about the texture of that card and having that in your hand and just feeling that and being able to play. But card games are my favorite. And I told you that while we were playing this. Just I like holding cards, I like shuffling cards, I like dealing cards, I like playing card games. I like sleeving cards. It's wonderful. I like cards.
Or the textured cards, they have wooden texture.
That's what I like.
Yeah. And that's a sturdy card stock too.
Yeah, definitely. I am definitely an advocate for physical media because I enjoy physical media, but I can definitely see points of digital media being good because convenience is number one. I know teaching people to play a game on the digital has always been a nightmare.
Well, it's so much easier for creators in the digital space, especially indie creators, to get their stuff out to a broader audience.
Oh, yeah.
Like cuts down production costs for them.
Yeah.
Especially in a gaming sense, like how much does it cost to try to put something on a card, like an indie game on a cartridge? How prevalent were indie games before the digital space became a thing? Like,
That's a good point.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Like Stardew, do you think Stardew Valley exists in a world where he's going to make SNES cartridges for it to go into?
I mean, it only just recently got physical editions.
Yes. Now that it's made so much money that they can actually do that because of the overhead for that stuff.
I think we're seeing a bit of that too in the video game industry.
There's no shit. He has no shipping. There's no shipping cost to that. You put it on Steam, and there it is. And then you can get it anywhere in the world. You don't have to ship a box somewhere else.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of indie companies do
Bringing up
digital first. Go ahead.
it's just bringing up stuff like it's the same thing that you're talking about. Like limited run games, strictly limited games. It's production companies that are like, hey, we love the physical media, and you guys done a digital only games. Let us buy the rights to do a run of a physical edition of your game. Sell it.
Thank you, Limited Run.
Yeah, and limited run.
I love and hate you.
Yeah.
Well, so what? limited runs. That seemed like a link to in the show notes.
Yeah, it's just limited run games.
I love and hate them.
Yeah, I do. I bought Celeste from them.
Yeah.
It was like a year and a half getting that there.
Well,
But
they do
they-
pre-orders.
They do pre-orders and they wait until the pre-order window is open, and then like that, however many pre-orders we got is how many games we're producing, and that's
I
it.
mean, that's smart.
It's almost like they're called limited run.
Well, they didn't used to do that. They done we're doing a pre-order on this, and then first come first serve, and it's sold out, and there's tons of people that didn't get it.
That
So
was,
they changed their production till after, so everyone that wanted one could get one.
I would love to see that be the norm of just being able to say, okay, I'm cool with waiting a little bit longer on this, but I know that because I waited a little bit longer, somebody else is going to get one. You know what I mean? That sort of, not the F you, I got my mentality.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where we're going to take as many orders on these things as we can, and then once we send, we're going to close this order window, we're going to make that many, and we're going to send them out.
Nintendo's like, how many are we going to make? Toss the dart.
More like Games Workshop, man.
Dude,
They do the same thing.
Games Workshop will never go digital.
No, I know they won't.
No, they will. They will burn the country to the
I
ground.
waited 9 months for a book from them before.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good product. It just you gotta wait.
I just imagine Games Workshop sending an email, arrive when we feel like it.
I think it's. I mean, they're in the UK, so they're probably hitting a lot of logistical issues with Brexit and all that. But
dude.
You don't have to defend them. It's okay. We've already discussed the
just
evil
giving them the
corporations.
benefit.
Like we say all the time, these big giant faceless companies, we love what they do, and they have done a lot of good for the spaces that we love to participate in and play in and then just be a part of. But also they're giant faceless companies, and money is their bottom line in a lot of situations, and they've done a lot to kind of screw over some people sometimes, and so we want to punch up and we'll hold them accountable. So
I do like the Adeptus Sororitas that just came out.
The what?
The Battle Sisters, nuns with guns.
Oh, yeah.
Is it 40K?
Yeah,
Okay.
I picked it up when
I know more about
ordered it.
Age of
I
Sigmar.
started to ask which dinosaur that was.
I thought it sounded like a dinosaur.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
Nobody ever asked me.
What is your favorite dinosaur?
Velociraptor.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
T-Rex.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
Procomsic Nathan.
Okay, Procomsignatus.
Leopardon.
Nice. I like Ankylosaurus.
Oh, yeah.
Leopardon, Charlie.
Because Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Mine's because it
magical.
tasted like chicken.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I mean, they're the size of chickens. So,
There you go.
I mean, that's fair.
yeah.
So I like that you hit on
It's
the
just a giant chicken.
I like that you hit on the idea of how it affects like indie video gamers. Like it's more opportunity for people wanting to create games. It's a cheaper way of sending that information out. The same thing goes for music, really. When you think about
Oh, yeah.
it's physical media versus digital.
And literature, man.
Literature, absolutely. Like,
Look at blogs.
yes, you can send all this stuff up, make it available.
Look at
goes for,
podcast.
Look at us.
Oh, gosh, we're digital media.
Oh, God.
Well, when I
Look at even RPG books. There's a lot of them release PDFs
Oh,
and
you
sell
can do way
those
before.
as they're working on the book, so they can cover the production cost of the
Yeah.
book.
yeah,
I've
the
been waiting on a Steinhardt's
Steinhardt's, yeah.
Guide to the Eldritch for like a year now, maybe a little over.
See, a lot of that has to do with infrastructure, though,
Yeah.
because when we're using paper
Yeah,
and we lack adequate recycling capabilities, the cost of paper is going to be massive, and you're going to have to wait. Like if you have a forest fire, suddenly the cost goes way up. The delays come with COVID, and the lumberjacks weren't working. The price of 2x4s went skyrocketed to 8 times what it was.
You
Imagine.
don't have to tell me. There's a lot of home repair during.
I mean, this guy's being in good faith. It's like sending pictures of product as stuff's coming out and stuff. I mean, he's actually almost got it. It's supposed to ship sometime this year, hopefully.
we need you regularly. We need somebody with the logistics side of it. Because we're just like, curse you, big company.
I don't want stuff to be put in perspective. I want to be mad.
Sorry.
It's needed.
Down to earth.
It's
view on
needed.
it.
I mean, like fundamentally though, I mean, yeah, you have greedy people, but I don't believe that the average person is greedy. I derive more pleasure from the enjoyment of others.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I run into that regularly in the tabletop community.
Life's not a competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can tell the guys that played MMOs that come to the D&D table because they think you can win at D&D.
Oh yeah.
The point is to tell a story and to tell an awesome one, and a good death can be better than winning.
Absolutely.
Call of Cthulhu is my favorite game of all time. It's my thing. I've ran several hundred games of Call of Cthulhu over the years. And I love that game because of that whole thing. Like, a good death is kind of the point.
Yeah.
Like, let's tell his story up until you die.
I mean, isn't that Call of Cthulhu, though? Like, it's not, you're not playing to win.
Right.
Oh,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that is the point. You're telling the story of how you died, trying to not necessarily save the world, but to prolong the life of the world for a few more insignificant days.
You're trying to survive as you find out you can't save the world.
Yeah. You're not saving it. You're just giving them a little bit more time.
So socially, there's a lot of stuff that happens with physical media and social and digital media. I'm a video game collector. People step into that room and they go, "Wow, look at all this stuff! That's so cool!" Like, how many times does somebody go to your room and go, "Pull up your Steam library"? Wow!
Everyone goes to my house. The first thing they do is go through my Steam library.
I'm just going through Aaron's computer.
Yeah. Wow! What is? Oh! Wow! Wow!
Aaron,
They're gonna clean up that library. We have company.
Aaron, I have to call somebody. So
I always display it on my TV. Just scrolls.
I used to run a charity that we provided social support services to kids with life-threatening illnesses using video games. We had Minecraft servers, Garrett's Mod servers, and every once in a while someone would send me a game that, like, it was intended to make fun of me because you can see people's Steam, like what games they have. And it sent me stuff like the magical fantasy horses or something. And then I would just respond like, "Thanks, man. This gives me something to do with my daughter."
Nice.
yeah, fine. Free game, okay.
Josh hides his library.
There is something to
do.
do with that. Though. Like, I mean, more games. Step into Nathan's house. What is it? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Step in Nathan's house with board games.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm interested in this.
Our buddy Nathan, who, if you want to hear Nathan was our friend with 25, almost 20, or 28, almost 30 years of experience running FLGS. We did an episode on friendly local game stores, and he was our guest for that episode. So you can go back and check that out. I cannot remember for the life of me what the episode number is, because we were now on 15 of these things and a bunch of other special episodes in between.
Remember yesterday?
Yeah. Might have been episode 8 or 9. One of those. But just find the one that says friendly local game stores with the tagline, "I made it, you probably can't."
Oh yeah,
That's the Nathan Barney story. But he's got, I mean, he has a board games that has more games than this store does.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's impressive. And it's a good conversation piece too. You know, like socially, it's like he's obviously interested in sharing games with people, and so it's like you step in, you go, "Wow, that's really awesome."
It's whatever type of game you want to play. He pull it out and was like, "All right, let's sit down and we'll learn it together and play."
Yeah, he has a huge comic collection,
Video game.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
He had a complete collection at one point, minus the mail-in for the Daytona game.
Yeah.
But the guy's a big collector. But I mean, that's part of it too. I think you would probably have the same sort of outlook in talking about this sort of stuff. Like, physical is obviously important.
Like I said, we've actually had this discussion with a friend of ours who.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we ever had a full-on discussion with it, like with this about Nathan, or about this with Nathan, jeez. But I mean, it's being brought up in conversation with him. So
It's more of an argument, but
I mean, sometimes, yeah.
I feel like sharing is just easier with. Well, that's actually kind of a tough call. Now that I've said it out loud, I thought about it. Sharing games feels easier when it's physical.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's also like the opportunity to sit and connect with people that across the world is also convenient, to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to be able to, play Halo back in the day with people from whatever language they spoke.
Prostate checked.
Right.
Oh God, no.
We've recorded 3 episodes here today, and getting your prostate checked has come up in all 3.
I mean, I played Battlefront 2 online on the PS2 with people. I mean, I got destroyed the whole time, but I mean, I was online.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously with board gaming, whatever else, it makes it shareable.
There's nuance, right? So playing a digital board game with people or playing a board game with somebody is different than playing a physical game with somebody. Or, if the point is to connect with a multitude of people and you want to like you're playing a battle royale game like PUBG, if you have it physically, it may still be a solo game that I'm queuing in solo, or I'm queuing in with friends that have to have their own version of that game. A board game, my friends, for the most part, save for a couple board game designs that I'm not the greatest fan of, if I have it, we can all play it.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than with a video game, if I want to play with my buddies, they may have to have their own copy, which is kind of the way things are moving. And that's even another point of this stuff where it's that digital separation.
I actually seen something
Couch co-op's going with.
on Steam, and this is a option that is you can turn on Steam with just a click of a button, and it was Thor that actually brought this up. It's a guy that used to work for Blizzard. And if you have couch co-op as an option in your game, you can click a button on Steam whenever you're selling it that just says share on Steam, and it is now shareable. Only I have to have a copy, and then everybody else can remote into my computer and we can play together, even online.
Last train out of Worktown.
Yeah.
And that's every game on Steam that has couch co-op has that capability. It's just if the developer wants to turn it on or not.
That's where you see good guy developers.
It's really a question of what they place the importance on. Like, granted, we all need to make money because we got to live. Yeah. But, I mean, there's a reason why, I've given away half my product is because it's more important to me, one, that my tribe's language is preserved, but 2, I want you to have fun with something that I made.
Well, I think Last Train Out of Wormtown does it beautifully, because only one of us has to own a copy of it. But if we all buy it, we have full access to everything else. Like, we can still play the base game, but for character customization or anything else, that we still have to buy our own.
Yeah, I love that because they had 2 versions of it. They had the game, and then they had the friend pass, is what they called it. And you download the friend pass, and you could play with people who own the real game.
Now, I don't have the numbers, right? I'm not a video game developer. I don't have the numbers of this sold versus that sold for this level. But I imagine, and I know just me as a consumer in this environment, I can count a million plethora of times that I've played a game that a friend had and been like, okay, I want to get that.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a video game couch co-op. Because I can't play that unless I'm with them there. Board games I'm a little weirder about just because I believe in something called board game etiquette. If anybody's familiar, I don't know if any of our listeners are familiar with board game etiquette. I'm sure everybody sitting at the table are, where it's kind of this unspoken rule where if my buddy has a game, I'm not going to also buy that game just because that way, if I want to play it, I include my friend. Right, because they have that game, and now when I play it, I'll include it. Now that's a little hardcore, right?
Oh yeah, I'm so glad to hear that because I just thought I was super cheap. I was like, Nathan's got it. I'll play with Nathan.
Yeah, well, I mean that too.
Nathan bought it. Thanks, Nathan.
But you're making sure if I'm playing that, I'm including. If James has a game that I want to play, well, I'm not going to go buy it, so I play without James. Now, if I want to play, I call James hey, let's play. Let's get together. Let's hang out.
You get to play with your friends, and they get value out of it.
Yeah, and they get value.
Bought.
Yeah.
So.
I have bought games that I know you have.
Oh, I mean, I bought games. I break board game etiquette all the freaking time.
I will say there's been several times me and Brittany have looked at the game and been like, can we get this? I think Josh has it. I will just play with Josh.
Well, it's that too of the new. Okay, I could spend this $30, $40, $50 on something that I know my friend has, or I can get something new that I can create a new experience for my friend there.
Yeah.
Or my kids or whoever.
As far as
friends, my kids. So.
Couch co-op, It's just not the same when you're yelling over Discord at somebody as in person.
No.
You get right up in their face.
Oh, dude,
And then you're sitting there.
need the heart rate.
You're sitting there in the old school FPS, like screen looker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You see my screen on twirl.
Halo is my friends and I used to have LAN parties, but
Oh yeah.
we had big screens, and you hook a couple of big screens together with a couple of Xboxes, and then you could have 8-player Halo. That was a big.
Done that, man. Oh, God, I was in LAN parties with the computer for Dungeon Siege 3. I just spit all over the place.
Getting excited.
I had for Dungeon Siege 3. Anybody ever play Dungeon Siege 3?
Yeah.
Right. We had a 4-day LAN party over at a buddy's house for the release of Dungeon Siege 3. It was you could only play on one computer, right? It wasn't, but we picked up the computers and we took them over there and we hooked them up. And this was before, internet online play. You had the LAN play and that was kind of it. And we sat in the same room thing and played. It was amazing.
I mean, how old we all sound right now.
Oh, real damn, man.
Every episode, I'm always like, oh no.
Someone out there is going, what's a LAN?
Yeah. Oh man, I remember so many Atlanta. We used to do every band trip turn into a Halo LAN party. Doing Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3.
See, where I wasn't a big FPS fan, we done it with Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yeah,
You
we
could
did.
actually hook it up and have an 8-player Mario Kart Double Dash.
Yeah.
I went to college during the Halo LAN party or LAN experience, so it was just like Ethernet cords run all the way down the door.
Yeah.
Like huge Ethernet cables.
Well,
Somewhere there's a man that just made the sales Ethernet cable just swimming in a mother. He's got on a big top hat cigar.
He's doing a full-on Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
The best time I've ever had in Smite was we've had 2 different LAN parties at Page 3, and we just all brought computers down and connected them up and had a great time.
We can hook stuff up to that TV and actually have LAN parties.
You tell us when to come back down, man.
Yeah. LAN party
Just hook
at
up
the
a
Guard
computer,
Tower. That's what we're talking about.
dump it in the back of the car, and let's go.
Let's run the risk of destroying this
We'll
3
project the game.
container and not carrying it somewhere when I could just loaded it up online at the house.
We'll project the game on the green screen in the background.
And we got to dodge it. No.
I think the background could be like children on a lawn. That can get us all riled up. Get off my lawn.
If you didn't notice,
Just like the old-
there's a green screen behind us, and I don't know what it is. It's green for us right now.
I thought it was a
what are we
beautiful
putting it as?
scenery of the hills.
Put that the hills that
Our
There
beautiful
you go.
scenery of the hills with our logo.
There it is.
That's
That's what you should be seeing.
Beautiful.
This is a hall.
Use a logo because I didn't see him.
Unless we change it.
The uncompressed one from Facebook with the logo. I just have the one without.
Thinking of putting your logo actually in the pip, and then the nature background behind everything else.
Honestly, that'd be
Be
cool.
good, man.
Yeah, we can do that.
Send me the raw too. That way I can put them in space.
Actually, I have a space.
Everyone, good God, watch out.
We're gonna pay the
Hit that in post, Travis. Make me swat something away from me.
what's it the
Do it. Use your computer. Make it happen.
It's magic.
Whose lines it anyways
Let's leave
where they
Peaches
they put one person on the green screen and they got to try to figure out where they're at.
That's so good.
It's all happening in this area, right?
You could just make it all Disney princesses.
I hope.
Yeah.
That's what I really want. Secretly.
So, any points you want to make about this?
No, what you got? What else you got?
Consumer advocacy is what I was thinking about. Like, how do we, as consumers, for physical, if we're interested in physical media, the idea, right, is to buy physical media. Right? So, I thought, in the circles I run in, I thought everybody's like, yeah, physical's wonderful. But what I hear more and more, especially from students and younger people, is they have no interest in buying anything physical. It's all digital. It's like because they get that immediate satisfaction too. It's like, well, why would I bother when I could just buy why would I ask my parents or whatever to drive to GameStop for me or Walmart where they might not have this game and buy this game when I can just immediately get it online?
My son's PS5 doesn't even have a disc port.
Yeah.
Like there you go. There's one to put it. If we're looking at where gaming in general is moving, they're creating systems without ports. My computer does not have this drive.
Mine neither.
Which is funny on a computer, but for Sony, because they recently had a report that almost half of their game sales are still physical.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, they're still selling.
That's surprising.
A lot of physical.
Is it still the majority digital?
It's almost half and half.
Okay.
See, the other problem with that, though, is when you're making cartridges, when you're making discs, you're using up precious metals.
Yeah.
And those precious metals could actually serve us as a society better going into infrastructure. So, if we're going to use up all that gold and cadmium, let's make something that's going to benefit the rest of us, and let's just store this game over here on this device.
I mean, you're still building servers and things out of that stuff, though.
How dare you,
You're building
James? I'm
computer
more
chips
important.
and stuff
You
like that.
are.
Maybe not at the same rate, but it's still taking a space would be my only counter argument to that. But I guess, if you're not making 15,000 copies of Turok 3 for the N64,
Which is getting a physical edition.
yeah.
Limited run it's not making the 64 cartridge, but they're making physical copies.
I picked a random game. I have no clue what you just said is happening.
Yeah, there's Turok 3 getting a physical release on the Switch, Xbox One, and the PS4.
Of all the things that needed to happen, that's not one of them.
The only reason I thought Turok is because we talked about on the marketing things, Acclaim just being the Snidely Whiplash cartoon villain.
I thought you were still playing into dinosaurs.
I love dinosaurs.
I will say limited run, how they choose their games, I have no idea. I can only assume they just have a wheel with a dart that spin and just throw.
Well, to be fair, they've just...
That's a woman on a wheel. Chuck knife.
No, that's a claim. Not
Yeah,
That's how Acclaim marketed things. Come up and chuck a knife of one of our models.
But Not Dive Studios just done remasters of Turok 1, 2, and then they just recently finished 3. So, and they done a physical release for 1 and 2 when it came out, so they went ahead and done 3, and that just so happened to fall in this year.
Didn't even know Turok 3 was a game.
yeah.
just grab something from the ether.
That's
Wow. Okay. They're marketing in our head now. That's what's happening.
They're sending those brainwaves out.
from
The
Futurama.
antenna.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, it's the 5G. It's making us woke.
So I think that math is correct.
Is it girl math? Or gamer math?
I'm really bad at math.
Is it toilet paper, man?
When you think about like environmental concerns, imagine, okay, so the best-selling game of all time is Minecraft. 300 million copies of this game sold. Imagine if those were all physical.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's insane because the world population is 8 billion. Is that?
That is a significant portion of the world
Well,
population.
Thank you. That's. I was like, I think it's 3, almost 4%.
it's also been released on multiple
Was that way off?
systems.
Maybe it's
Yeah, that.
I mean, it's been bought multiple
300
by the
million.
same people, but I mean, that would still have, they keep
1%,
doing it like
8 billion.
Skyrim,
80.
That's true.
creating more and
Okay,
more
yeah.
copies.
The thing with Minecraft
It is
too
about
is that
4% then, right?
it's technically an open source
Well,
game.
yeah. So
You
less
can
than 4%.
decompile the whole thing with your own mods.
Yeah.
So
So 4%
people take an
population.
ownership in it in a different way.
5% of the population of the world has played Minecraft. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just don't name it. That's a lot. But like, if we had made even 500 million copies of one game, even on a Nintendo Switch cartridge, that's a substantial amount of resources.
Yeah.
And we can fit with modern technology 100 Minecraft servers on one physical server
Mm-hmm.
rather than having 100 individual games.
Mhm.
And so that it really does save us resources as a species to go in that direction.
It does.
I mean, it's kind of like,
There's some waste too, because those
Yeah.
cartridges are going to end up somewhere. Plus, and the not thought. What's the word I'm looking for? The residual, the waste product from creating those things, and
Yeah.
then what that generates too.
So we
Not just the resources going into it.
just recycle that metal, use it to make more.
it's also kind of going into books like paper.
Mm-hmm.
Bamboo grows, I can't remember how much faster.
Oh, crazy! Dude,
Ridiculous.
bamboo grows noticeable amounts in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make paper out of bamboo. So why are they not? I mean, you can make a small area, grow it, cut that down, make paper out of it, replant the same area. I mean, you'll have to rotate because you don't want to take all the nutrients from the soil for one thing, but it grows significantly faster. You can make way more paper.
So then we still come down to there's going to be a hybrid. Like there's always going to be analog and digital. We've crossed that threshold.
I don't know if I agree that there will always be analog. I think in certain things there will always be analog. But I do think at some point, maybe in the gaming sphere, especially in like handheld gaming, that there may be a point where there is no more analog for that.
Well, I mean, football is analog. You
Yeah.
know, like people are still going to play sports. People are going to be active. We just may not.
Yeah, I'm in terms of specifics.
Yeah, we may not see the degree of miniatures or something. Like we can't say that something's going to last forever, but really, I mean, we don't even use products forever. The effective use of anything for a human is only about 50 years.
Mhm.
And if they pass it to their kids or grandkids, it usually gets set on a shelf or tossed in a trunk. So we don't need to build something that's going to last 500 years. If we want people to actually use it, the life cycle of any product is not likely to exceed 50 years. So we should make things that can be recycled so that when it reaches the end of that life, it can become the next game.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I want everything I make to stay on the earth until it explodes. I want some squid monster descendant from Xenon 12 to land down and see my washing machine and 16 copies of House Pro Golf.
It's a future. Should just launch a giant trash ball out into space. It's not a problem anymore, doesn't it?
What was that for the cure for global warming? And we drop a giant chunk of ice in the ocean, thus fixing the problem for. And the little girl goes, "But wait, what if?" He goes, "Thus fixing it forever."
That's okay. So this is a lot to think about. If you bookended PlayStation 2, thank you, ChatGPT, by the way. If you bookended PlayStation 2s, because there's 155 million PlayStation 2s, so that's physical, because they're systems, right?
Yeah.
If you bookended them, you could stretch from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific coast of the United States. So,
I mean, think of
What was that for?
that's why I would think about it.
how much petroleum, how much gold, like how much of that stuff did we pull out of the earth, and now 90% of PS2s are in the garbage. They're sitting in a dome.
You need like a highway out of it.
I can repave most of the Kentucky roads with PS3. It would be. We could build it back stronger.
Next time I'm driving down the Bluegrass Parkway, I'm gonna think this should have been PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2.
They don't build up; they go down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You hit it and boom. Yeah, that's what I did.
Maybe that's our.
That's a dip. That's not a bump.
People can see us now.
I know.
Well, that's what we'll do with our riches, though. We make this our podcast, man. We'll buy PlayStation 2s and we'll feel involved.
I have no idea how to feel involved. You put a PlayStation 2. What are those guys doing? Another office space in a PlayStation 2.
And then we just flick a.
Where's our meals?
That's like a golf club and a bat.
Then we just stick it.
Only used it for 50 years.
You know what, Aaron?
Then we just slap a Hills Have Nerds sticker right on top of it.
There's not enough cadmium to go around. Just stomping it into.
I'm helping.
Yeah, he said put the sticker on it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, your roads are now brought to you by Hills Have Nerds. Take that, Domino's.
We should adopt a highway like the Ku Klux Klan did.
Wow.
I was going for Domino's.
If they,
I was going more for Domino's paying to pay potholes in places with their advertisements.
I don't think any good idea should be followed like the Ku Klux Klan did.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
The wrong
Terrible idea.
they had one good idea. Take care of this stretch of highway. Everything else they've done, no.
I feel like their idea was a little bit different than our idea of taking care of highway. But
Don't do things the Ku Klux Klan.
Do not.
I said that for absurdity. That was just meant to be funny. The Ku Klux Klan are awful.
Diogenes would be proud.
Adopt a stretch of highway like the Church of Satan did.
Oh. So much better. So much better.
I will argue. I will die on that hill that the Church of Satan is better than the Ku Klux Klan.
The Church of Satan or Satanic Temple?
Both. Either one. 6 1 half dozen. LaVeyan or Crowley and Satanism, whichever one you want. Both better than David Duke and his ilk. All right.
Maybe we'll get that email this time.
Finally.
We've been waiting for the hateful, vicious email to come through.
Well, you're going to have some KK member send us an email now. Thanks.
I adopted a highway in your guys' name.
I'll do anything to let y'all get mad.
Woke culture's ruining the Ku Klux Klan.
This is not where I thought we were going. What a turn this episode is made.
On those cameras, I wasn't expecting.
I was fully expecting a different route.
I like being somebody walked into the store through there and just heard woke culture. It just turned around.
This is when James Steve we're not too comfortable.
Lynn, you remember?
Decibels of reduction. So yeah.
Lynn, you remember when Josh said we probably shouldn't have done this? Well, he screamed at the top of his lungs.
She's regretting the invitation this time.
A solid 15 minutes of the episode talked about this.
I mean, this is Alex Jones now. We thought like
Turn the freaking Ku Klux Klan guy.
You got any?
PlayStation 2.
You got any? You got any tinfoil? I need to make me a hat real quick.
Ku Klux Klan.
Okay, we've said Ku Klux Klan too much. We're going to operate an algorithm or something.
Oh, yeah. Go think that out.
I can just go back through and in post, just like every single time it was said, just replace it with chicken sandwich.
Because the algorithm will pick up on that. We will be explicit and we will get pushed to nobody.
But great. It's hilarious. That was a good place.
Can I get you just saying chicken sandwich real good into that microphone real quick?
Chicken sandwich.
All right, we're going to just replace them all with that.
Chicken sandwich. Adopted a highway. Adopted a highway like the chicken sandwich. Cosmos for rednecks on Family Guy. The universe was created a long time ago by a god, a big bang. If you look at the bones of a Jesus, a Saurus Rex, you can tell the universe is billion or hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Extreme woke culture is ruining the chicken sandwich.
Maybe, man. I don't know. They're doing weird shit over at KFC. Okay, where were we? Are we done? Is that it?
Speaking of physical media,
Okay, let's do this.
did you see that KFC released a game system?
You should.
I didn't see the system, but I
chicken warmer.
They had a chicken warmer that I ain't even playing, man.
Yeah.
I didn't see the system, but I seen a game that they made and sold on it was on Steam, I think, actually.
Well, I mean, Burger King made games.
Yeah, they actually released physical copies.
Yeah.
Sneak King.
The 7-Up game was one of my favorite games. Little spot right there.
That's funny.
McDonald's released physical games too.
Yeah.
The kid, or I guess it was MC Kids, but
You know that
yes,
the Genesis game was made by Treasure? The McDonald's one?
I can't remember the name of it.
On McDonald and something land?
It's some Treasure Mysterious Treasure. I don't know.
I hope that's
There
Something McDonald's sounds.
There will be a link to the KFC chicken warmer system in the show. There will not be a link to the chicken sandwich.
We do not endorse the chicken sandwich.
Does not endorse the chicken sandwich.
The chicken sandwich are terrible people.
If you or a loved one are part of the chicken sandwich, you can go cluck yourself. Okay.
I'm gonna spend hours in the booth.
We're never going to get this on time. We've gave James so much credit.
Anyway, let us know what you prefer. We're going to end there. This has gone off the damn rails.
Yeah.
Let us. I feel like this was a good discussion.
Yeah,
it was.
Consumer advocate. There is this remarkable gray area of preservation of physical media or proliferation of digital media, and I think we hit on it fairly well.
Yeah. I feel like an in and out. The basis is we all agree that both of them have their pros and cons, and really they're both kind of needed. I guess
Especially for indie games.
Yeah.
Like anything, indie games or just indie creators, like indie authors, indie designers. That digital space allows you to reach a much broader audience that having to put the overhead into physical items does not.
Yeah.
So
I don't have to sell my mixtape.
pop it on SoundCloud, man. Get you a teardrop tattoo. Put that on SoundCloud. There you go.
Cling, cling, cling.
I'd buy your mixtape.
it's just going to be chicken sandwich over.
There's some
Down with
dark
the-
connotation after today.
Well,
All right. Anybody want to add anything? Any final thoughts? James, thank you so much for being here with us. Did I cut you off, Lee? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, James, thanks for being here.
James, thank you so much for being here with us today. This is the final episode that we are recording today in their studio here at the Guardtower Games in Columbus, Ohio. We're at the Guardtower West. There's two locations.
Yes.
The Guardtower West. We're here in Columbus, Ohio. This is the final episode. We've done 3 episodes today. We've been here all day. They put up with our shenanigans and chicanery.
I'm surprised they get killed again.
I don't know if I said it in this episode, so if other people didn't, what's the other one? Ashley, or your partner, is in the booth. And we know when we say something that's good because we can hear her cackling.
And all I can think of
all the way
is
out.
vindication.
That vindicates what we've said. And it is fantastic. And thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for working with us today. Thank you, Lynn and Bob Bartels here at the Guard Tower. And thank you, Guard Tower. Guys, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, or you're online looking for some good live play content, check out the Guard Tower. Come down to the Guard Tower. They have all kinds of awesome stuff, and they do a lot of awesome things for the gaming and nerd community. James, if people wanted to get in touch with you and get in touch with the Guard Tower, what can they do?
The easiest way would be go to theguardtower.com. It's important, but the before Guard Tower. But links to everything is on that website. The web store, the history of the Guard Tower, links to our social media, even our Guardtower Studios website that's getting ready to go online will be linked to through that website.
Cody, people want to find you. Where can they find you?
We have a Twitch stream running Thursdays only at twitch.tv/Coffee Break Lounge.
Lee?
I do mostly YouTube, or that's what I'm focusing on. So you can find me on YouTube at Pixel Bro Lee, but also stream on Twitch at Pixel Bro Lee. Every social media thing you can think of.
This is the third time they said all this.
Pixel Bro Lee, yeah. But yeah, be happy to see anybody that wants to discuss anything like this. Real quick, James. I know you guys are pushing for more stuff with the production studios, right? So I guess if people were interested in having this sort of opportunity that you blessed us with, they would contact you?
Yeah, you can contact me through the Guard Tower. We let people come in here and play when we're not recording for free. And we have a really basic setup that we can do for people for pretty cheap. Or we can do a full production kit like we're doing for you guys.
You offer editing, right?
Yeah, we offer editing services as well. And we just produce a pretty wide variety of content. We can do everything from live play series to voiceovers. We can do music videos. We can record live music. Pretty much anything.
awesome.
And an awesome facility.
Absolutely, man.
Amazing.
Aaron, where can people find you?
I guess filling potholes with PS2 now.
In a hard hat and a reflective vest, stomping an elderly game station.
Doing the Lord's work.
Doing the Lord's work.
And you can find all of us, James, I think, joined me on the Discord for the Hills Have Nerds. We have a Discord now. It is called The Holler. Come hang out in the Holler with us and talk about episodes and what you think about chicken sandwiches and anything there in between. You can find links to the Discord in the show notes on our Facebook. Come on our Facebook, facebook.com/The Hills Have Nerds, where we post links to all the shows and what we're doing during the day and all kinds of updates and pictures and funny things there. And talk to us on Facebook. You can leave a review. You can email us. Let us know what you thought about the episode. What's your opinions on physical versus digital media? Or is it a versus thing at all? Can they live in harmony and peace and coexist in our landscape? You can email us at heelshavenerds@gmail.com. That's heelshavenerds. There is no the. heelshavenerds@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube. This has a video component. I'm staring at the friggin' microphone again instead of looking at the... Just so used to doing that. This has a video component. You can see our beautiful smiling faces. See James's beautiful smiling face. You're going to see...
You looked at me?
I have. You're gorgeous, man.
Handsome.
Sometimes I have to look away. I find myself drawing a bit too long. My gaze lingers. We can see Bob and Lynn Bartels as they sat down and talked about their history and games, and then we recorded our What Are We Playing, What Are We Reading, What Are We Watching episodes should be coming out in the next couple months. Look for that. Look for all of that. There's a lot going on in the Hills, guys, and we're glad you're there with us. We thank you so much for being a part of all this and supporting the Hills Have Nerds and what we do. And if you enjoy the shows, if you enjoy what you saw, what you've listened to, if we've brought any kind of happiness into your heart, go tell somebody. Go leave a review about the podcast. It helps us a lot. Word of mouth's our greatest ally. And that's it. Thank you very much.